Welcome to Insights in Sound, where we talk to the people behind the scenes, behind the technology, and behind the music. People you may not know, but you should. And please check out getItinwriting.net/shows for a full list of our podcasts and YouTube series.
We're here with Jeff Greenberg. He is the owner and, what is your official title?
CEO, they gave me that title.
Owner and CEO of
But the coffee
the
guy
Village.
is good.
The coffee guy is good as well. Right. The chief cook and bottle washer, whatever you want to call it. And you took over this studio in what year?
95.
Okay, so a lot was changing in the industry in 95. First of all, tell me a little bit about your background, how you came to this. I know you were into artist management and stuff like that ahead of time.
A friend of mine asked me if I wanted to manage a band. I went, duh, yeah. We were very lucky. It was a really good band. We got at that time from Liberty Records $500,000 non-recoupable. Long story short is drummer got shot one night at The Experience when Jimi Hendrix was also there. They shot him 3 times over the period of an hour. They came back twice more to make sure he was dead, but he didn't die.
This was your introduction into the business.
Well, we had already toured with the Fugs. The band was an amazing band. And we were about to go on tour with a very big band, and they did a huge benefit at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion. All the billboards in town said, "Pray for Richard," who was the drummer. And all the executives told us, we replaced him actually with a better drummer, a young man named Russ Kunkel. And my moral of any story where you're losing a lover or a business or anything else is the new drummer is always better. That's true. At any rate, the agent at the time from William Morris that got us a deal felt bad for me, and he had taken over a company started by Bob Eubanks. Bob Eubanks, the Newlywed Game host, got a loan on his house for $25,000 and bought 2 concerts, the Beatles at the Hollywood Bowl and the Beatles at Dodger Stadium, and started a company called Concert Associates. And Jim Rissmiller, our agent at William Morris, and Steve Wolf took that company over, which became Wolf and Rissmiller Concerts. And he felt bad and let me come ice the buckets for the backstage drinks for the bands, and that's how I got in the concert business. Wound up going from there to producing a lot of huge concerts with these guys. And then we did Cal Jam 2. We started skateboarding as a professional sport, which I told to our company. And one day Tina is at the front desk and they're going to decide to check it out. Turns out there's a whole video of the 1976 World Skateboard Championships in Long Beach. And from there I went to Nederlander, where we did the Greek, the Pantages, Pine Knob, Merriweather Post. And during that time, I met a young lady who became a friend of mine. And in 1995, she came to me and said, "Hey, the place that I grew up in, the place my dad started, is being liquidated. Do you think you can help save it?" And with my friend Al Schmidt, who, by the way, produced that first record of that band, my first band, we walked through and the place was decimated. It was a time when a lot of studios were going out of business. And we looked around and said, God, it's kind of funky. A lot of disenfranchised people here.
This would have been like mid-'90s, and all the home studio revolution was happening. And
a young man named George Hormel came out here in the 60s. He was the heir to the Hormel Meat Company, a great piano player, and was doing Rin Tin Tin and Lassie cues for the TV shows, and bought the building, which at the time was the headquarters for the Maharishi. When he came here from India to bring transcendental meditation to the world, this was his headquarters. And Geordie built the first room, which was Studio A, and the word got out. This very wealthy guy built a state-of-the-art studio in West LA, and everybody came. Muddy Waters, Steely Dan, you name it, Eric Clapton. And so, but at the time I came through with Al Schmidt, it had seen better days and was about to be liquidated. Geordie had moved to Arizona, and the people here were kind of just waiting for the hammer to fall.
Well, and not just here. I think that was the case in a large part of the LA studio scene
Everywhere.
at that point. Yeah.
So I walked through with Al, and we looked around, and I said, I don't think so. And I saw one record on the wall that I loved, which was Supertramp, Breakfast in America. And I said, let's give it a shot. And we did. And at that time, we started calling bands up and saying, hey, we just took over the Village Recorder where the Rolling Stones and Fleetwood Mac did their great records. And people would say, that's cool. That's our parents' music, though. No thanks. And I got a phone call from a guy named Bill, send me a picture, and Skunk Baxter from Steely Dan still had a studio on the 3rd floor. I borrowed his Polaroid. I took a picture and sent it to this guy, Bill, who came, and that was Billy Corgan, who did Melancholy and Infinite Sadness with the Smashing Pumpkins, which put us back on the map. And it's been a resurrection ever since. For the last amount of time since then, we've changed every wire, every pipe, every console. The building is fully state-of-the-art. We're really proud of it. We just completed a new studio for T-Bone Burnett. And so it's a constant case of every dime that comes in stays in and goes to the betterment of the facility.
So let's elaborate about that a little bit. You've got 4 main rooms down here, and then you have a bunch of pre-production rooms or project rooms, as it were,
We have
right?
4 main rooms, and we have, Tina, how many private rooms do we have? We should know that number. 8 private rooms, and we've got some of the most stellar film composers, artists, and producers in the building.
So you've been resurrecting this throughout a very difficult time in the industry when things have shifted from, you know, people needing studios to people opting for studios for specific reasons. In your view, what is it that brings people to a major studio as opposed to doing it all at home? How do you know when you need that?
You know, I think that a lot of people did go into their homes and stuff. And the same thing happened with magazine publishing, as you might know. Mm-hmm. And finally, people started to realize, geez, I'm just sitting here with myself. And people need people. And I think people want a place where there's a community. And I think one of the great things that happened here was, I started, when I took it over, 2 things that I think were just kind of dumb luck. I started hiring kids out of Berkeley. And Berkeley's not the only school that does it, but to get into Berkeley, you have to be a consummate musician. And that's the language we speak here. And I think that our young people who are brilliant musicians and also great technicians have been part of the invitation here. We also started underwriting National Public Radio. So as a result, thousands of artists have come through here to do live shows when they're in town. They've had largely great experiences. They tell their peers. So it's been kind of a word of mouth thing as well. I mean, so a band named Elbow can come in, or God knows, Polyphonic Spree was our first one. We had to have 4 different guys on this desk to mix the live session. And we've done a great job. We strive to give each artist in here the best experience they've ever had. I think the word gets out. And also it's the sound. You cannot replicate the sound of a vintage Neve 8048 with plugins, in my opinion. You can get darn close. And I don't know if I'd be able to tell the difference, but people seem to like working in a professional space with other professionals. Long answer to a short question.
But you're right, it's not just the sound. As you say, maybe people can't tell in the finished product, but it's the creating and the creative experience that is impacted by the sound. And if you're getting that sound while you're in the creative process, that obviously helps too.
Yeah, and we've had, for the last couple of decades, people like John Mayer and Ed Cherney and Al Schmidt walking the halls. We sadly miss them, but we have a bunch of young creative people here, both as clients and as employees. And so there's a real great community here and a feeling of that I think is part of the invitation.
You just put your finger on what I think is a big part of it, and a big part of any, well, you know, in years past there were many multi-room operations, and I think Village is one of the few that are still standing in that sense. And one of the things that I think is of great value that you guys do is you create to a sense of community where, as you say, you can be walking the halls, you can run into other people, there are collaborations, there's a collaborative
Always.
spirit.
Yeah, there really is. That's fun too.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not having fun, why bother?
Well, and that's true. And that also is reflected in the final product, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
The other thing that you guys are known for and have been known for since Geordie Hormel ran the place, and it's a tradition that you've carried on, is the encouraging of bringing more women into the industry, being more
thank you for that.
inclusive. Mm-hmm.
We have absolutely insisted on grooming and creating excellent female engineers. And we also, of course, and it's the buzzword now, but we're proud of the way that we've looked to make sure that we represent diversity as well. One of our first experiences when I was here early on, we had a female runner, Berkeley grad. We sent her into a room for her first session. With the second we had booked on the session, couldn't make it. And that's usually how this happens as attrition, as people rise through the ranks here. And we sent her in for the room, and the band that was here, which was a very well-known band, said, we'd really rather not have a lady in here. And then we told them, then you better go to another studio. And she has since become a hugely successful engineer who's done some of the greatest rock and roll projects, some of the greatest film projects, and she's the first of many. We're proud of so many of our women.
I believe we actually interviewed that very woman here in this studio.
Well, she's phenomenal.
She is,
and
yes.
is representative of so many. How many? We've got several females on staff now that are very bright and as good as anybody I've ever seen. We're very, very proud of that.
And I think that's also an important thing to be emphasizing in this day and age, because there's been such an imbalance for so long, and you guys have been really, really great about contributing to that.
Thanks for recognizing that and knowing that. We are proud of that.
Mm-hmm. So, in general, I think what you've done here is encouraging a sense of community, not only in terms of the creative process, but in terms of those people wanting to get into it. Any advice for people coming up who would want to get into this profession other than stay away?
No, I would. My voice, I just lost my voice. I would really tell anybody that wants to get into this business that if you're going to do anything, you want to do it right. And even for a singer, if you're, a singer and you're in your 20s, you got to know that there's some 6-year-old out there doing it every day. You better be as good as you can, because your paths are going to cross. And I think that if you want to become a professional in the audio business, it can be a rewarding and great business to be in. But you better make sure your chops are as good as anybody out there or better. And that you want to be a fully balanced human being. I would say you want to make sure that you're evolving to the highest place that you can be as an individual, as a human being, because that's what's going to draw other people to you, make other people want to work with you. So I once watched a very successful female artist come in here and had about 90 people in that room right out there. They were her representatives from all over the world, from record labels and branches and stuff. And she said, I want to know that you guys are evolving, that you're doing yoga, that you're exercising, that you're eating well, and you're being kind to the people around you, or you can't work for me. Kind of cool, huh?
Really cool, and really points to what I think is an important tenet that you've obviously upheld not only in the studio, but personally, which is the idea of, as you say, be the best you can be, and really it comes down to being present and really caring about what you do and what you contribute.
Absolutely.
And I think that shows in every aspect of this studio. The attention to detail, the attention to taking care of the people. I mean, we're in a service industry. We know that. but there's service and then there's service. And one of the things that I think is really impressive is how, as an organization, you guys have gone above and beyond. You really take care of people, and not just the customers who come in, but as you say, you encourage this among your own people.
Yeah.
And I think this is important, and this is the way people progress on a career path, is to be really present and focused on what you're doing and really just trying to be the best at everything you do.
There's so many parts of my background that enlightened me as to how much people notice and what people see. One of the things I did was market research. And we did a thing where I was actually the guy on stage. Everybody had a meter or basal sensory receptors. And everybody put your meters to 50. If a song came on, they didn't like it, it would go down to 0. If they liked it, it would go up to 100. You'd watch this move, but in the control room, there was, Asian males, 18 to 24, white females, so there was every breakdown you could have. And the market research went even as far as having people walk into rooms, and they'd have a little dust or dirt in the corner of the floor, and people would subliminally notice that and have a less than great reaction to the presence of that room.
And maybe not even realize why.
They would never know. However, there's so many things to be aware of, and so many things that are in the details. Absolutely correct. So I feel blessed that I've had such a varied background. I've been yelled at by managers for having the wrong color couches in the dressing rooms. So, I pretty much get it. And it is. We're here to make sure that the artist comes in and can experience their golden moment without having to get involved in conversations or be aware of things not working. The main reason we're here is to capture those golden moments. And when we do, everybody's happy.
That works for me. Anything else that you want me to ask you that I haven't covered?
I like your shoes.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
Jeff Greenberg, thank you for being our guest.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Hey, I'm Daniel Keller. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and join us each week for Insights in Sound.